know, right? When I figured it out, I was just like, whoa.
Whoa.
Like, whoa, this is amazing.
Wow. That's... Thank you,
Yeah,
is all I've got to say.
No worries.
You've blown my mind. Well, hello, Mallika.
Hey, how you going?
Good, thanks. Thanks for coming along.
No worries at all. I was already on campus.
Oh, really? What were you up to here?
I was at the CGA, so the physics building. It's like on level 2. Didn't even know it was there when I was in first year and second year. But yeah, there's like all these offices upstairs, and I'm doing a winter project up there, so I have to be there full time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That must be fun. So, what's the simplest way you can explain your research project?
So my project is basically just trying to figure out how good a detector really is using like these modeled simulated waveforms that people have come up with.
Yeah.
I'm basically just making a Python module where you input a certain detector configuration, like, arm length, mirror type, is it silicon or like normal mirror, all that sort of stuff. And you have all these simulated waveforms, whichever ones you're going to use, and it just outputs a detection rate. Because if you want to make NEMO, you've got to make it good. Right, like it would kind of be lame if it sucked. So to make it good, you kind of have to have a metric of how good it is, and that's kind of the detection rate, which is, how many of these signals would it see, let's say, in a year, or something like that. So I'm just kind of working on a way to calculate that from this database full of waveforms that I don't know how they've calculated.
Yeah, so they've just got a bunch of waveforms,
Yeah.
and then what you're doing is essentially looking at those waveforms and giving some type of metric to how many detections that the NEMO gravitational wave detector will end up detecting.
Yeah.
So, has this been the only one you've done?
Yeah, so I've done 2 research projects. This is like my second one, and it started at the end of semester last year, so like November last year, and I kind of did it in November, December, January, and then I picked it back up when semester started in February, and I've been doing it since the semester started now.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's been like one long project, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, that's not very typical, is it?
No, usually because a lot of the summer projects and winter projects and things like that are like, honestly, when you're doing them, sometimes it feels like there's no point in doing them, and all you're really doing is getting a feel for the research. So if you want to continue it, you have a good base, your supervisors and things like that. It's usually not like this long-term a project. But I think they actually want to use my stuff for something, maybe. So,
That's pretty
maybe
cool.
it's a good sign that they've kept me on for so long. But yeah.
Was this one your first, ever research project in your undergraduate year?
No, so I've done one before. It was the year before last year. So last year was 2021. It would have been 2020. I did it at Mount Stromlo. And that, again, was it was a random, they advertised the summer projects. And I was like, I'll do one. I'm going to do astrophysics. Might as well do one. And so I just applied for the program generically. That one was about shocks, like shock waves in galaxies and things like that. Yeah.
Cool. So you found that through, it's like the proposed projects?
Yeah, like the proposed projects page.
That you get.
So I actually did the other way around. So they just sent out emails about, hey guys, we've got this cool summer internship, or like summer scholarship program, that's what it's called. If you want to do it, you can apply. And then to apply, you need to put 3 projects as preferences, and then they assign you to one and things like that. So it was that's mostly how summer projects go. It's like you apply for the program. Obviously you have to talk to the supervisors to be like, are you willing to take me on, right? But the one I'm doing now, I actually did it the opposite way because, did you do astrophysical processes?
Yeah, I did it last semester.
Yeah, so I think I did it maybe the year before.
Yeah, you would have done it a semester before me.
And Naomi, who's the lecturer for the course, overheard me talking to somebody about, I don't know what I'm going to do in the future because I like physics and I like astrophysics. And she, walked up to me and she was like, oh, so I met Professor, Professor's probably not the right title. It's associate, fancy title. I don't know what more fancy, but he's the head of CGA. He's a really distinguished scientist. She's like, oh, I mentioned your name to him. I was like, excuse me, what? She's like, yeah, because he's the head of the CGA. They take on summer students. If you wanted to, you could totally do a project there. So I emailed him directly and was like, hey, I'm a student. Naomi may have mentioned to me, I'm looking to do a project over the summer if you'll have me. Here are my skills. What would you recommend? And then he kind of found my supervisor for me based on my, what courses I'd done or what I'd said I was interested in.
But yeah, okay, that's Wow, that's incredible, actually.
Yeah. But to be honest, even if Naomi hadn't mentioned my name, I think feel free to email him. Like, he'd do it anyway, because I know one of my friends was like, oh, that sounds like cool. Could I do something similar? I was like, here's his email, just email him. So, never hesitate to email them.
I guess yours was a little bit less cold, so when sending out your cold emails, do you have stuff that works well, that doesn't work well?
Yeah, especially when I did my first project, I had to send like cold emails out to potential supervisors because you had to talk to them. Well, no, you didn't have to, but it looked better on your application. So if you're going to apply, always talk to your supervisor before applying for one of the scholarships. Because although the scholarship isn't through them, it's like through ANU in general, who just puts money towards physics or whatever. It'll look better that way. And I think it's really good if in your email you mention wanting to talk in person or having a meeting over Zoom or something like that. I feel like that really, it means that you're committed or whatever. But again, usual, just be polite. Because, honestly, pretty much everybody's emailed me back, so casually with, typos and things like that. Meanwhile, I had stressed over my email for so long. I, reread it 50 million times. I, called my mother, read this for me. Does this sound okay?
Oh my god, I know exactly what you mean. I send stuff to my mother all the time as well. I go, please, my grammar isn't great. It make me sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Because they wouldn't mind, but I think in your first email you should try and make a good impression, I guess. And it's also good to look up what their actual credentials are.
But yeah, so you have done now 8 months. How's that experience been? How's it been doing research?
So, when I first did a research project, right, the one at Mount Stromlo, my supervisor, after I left, a month later, he left for industry. So he stopped doing research. So I heard about that and I was like, damn. Wow, because before he left, we'd had a discussion because I, at the time, was trying out, do I want to go into academia? Do I want to do more research and things like that? Had a frank discussion with him. He was like, yeah, it's pretty hard. Being a postdoc's pretty bad. There's no job security. And then he kind of kept going and I was like, do you like doing academia? Blink twice if you need me to save you, man.
Sounds like he needed to be saved.
Exactly. So he's gone for industry now. So academia is definitely not your only option, and it's definitely not for everyone. I think it's one of those things where you need to be really passionate about it if you want to do it. So I was like, I'll give it another go. I'll try out CGA, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm going to stay on for honours. But yeah, the experience, it's really hit or miss, because sometimes you really like it, and then sometimes you really hate it. Sometimes it's just too much like uni work, I guess. And I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself? I'm willingly doing more uni work, I guess. But a lot of the times it's really fun because, you're doing something new. But I also think it depends on the project, because I know I had friends who did projects as well. But a lot of their work was they knew it was never going to be used. They were just doing busy work. Their supervisors weren't very available. They couldn't talk to them all the time. So I guess it depends on, your supervisor as well. And especially when you're starting out, you need to have a lot of contact with your supervisor, because who are you? You're this random undergrad student who's done a couple of courses and that might be relevant to whatever you're doing your project in. That's not enough. You need guidance and support. And if you don't get that guidance and support, it can be a pretty shit experience, in my opinion.
Oh, you found, getting, interacting with your supervisor and getting, that time.
So I think I'm really lucky because my supervisor, Lily, she is literally the best. She's always aware. She's just message me on Slack. I'll message back when I can. Even when she's in meetings and stuff, she'll be like, oh yeah, we're having the Kagura conference right now. It's in Japan, but because of COVID, I can't go to Japan. So my meeting's at 4 a.m. in the morning. Just message me whenever you want. And I was like, bro, I'm not bothering you today. You need to sleep or whatever. No, she's great. And I think I really lucked out in that regard. So it's important when choosing your supervisor. That's why you should always have a meeting with them first. Even my supervisor at Mount Stromlo, there was obviously a couple of options. I had to give 3 options, and I had meetings with all of them. But I asked the supervisor I chose, I was like, so where am I going to study? He was like, oh, there's a spare desk in my office. Just, you can be in the office with me. That way you can ask me a question at any time. And I was like, wow, thank you. That's really cool of them, especially given that they're so busy and things like that. So that's partially, one of the reasons I chose Adam. Because yeah, and Lily, she was kind of assigned to me by, because I emailed David McClellan, professor, whatever it is. Fancy dude, really cool dude. He's really nice. I don't think he'd mind me calling him whatever. Anyway, Yeah, they set up the meeting, and in my summer project, I technically had 2 supervisors. So I think that's a good way to go. It was like, Lily was my direct supervisor, but if Lily wasn't available, I could go to Bram. So if you are going to do a project, maybe ask, like, if you're not around, because obviously they can't be around every time you need help. Like, is there anybody else I can talk to or anybody else I can ask? Because usually in these research groups, you know, there's a couple of people working on similar things. So there's always somebody who could help you with your baby problem. I'm sorry, but whatever research you're doing, it's not like going to go over their heads. It's in undergrad at least.
Your research project might be going over your head, but it won't go over their heads.
Yeah, exactly. And I also had a friend give me this advice. It was like a good supervisor, there's like 2 scales. One scale is emotional availability, and the other scale is like academic success and like how good they are in academia. And they're like, sure, you could have somebody who's really, really academically like awesome. They write heaps of papers, but their emotional availability is like 0. And so I don't know, like maybe it's right for you, but for me, I don't know if I'd be able to. I'd like enjoy working with a supervisor like that, I suppose.
So yeah, essentially give your like when finding a supervisor, kind of interview them.
Yeah, exactly.
And see if you basically like jive together, hey.
Yeah, no, I 100%. Especially that's why I don't know how people just go and do honors project. I mainly did these research projects so I could test out where I could do honors, because the idea of going somewhere, locking yourself in for a year and like not knowing if it's going to be good or not, like scares me a lot. Like, cuz it would suck. You've just devoted an extra year of your life to like something that it's really hard for you. But no, I'm going to do it with the CGN, my current supervisor, cuz she's awesome. I love Lily so much. She's a legend.
So you're going to be going into honors. Yep. You've done now a bunch of research. How have you found communicating your like projects to the general like populace?
It's really hard, to be honest, as you probably could tell through this interview, because with the summer project and like obviously most of the projects afterwards, because I'm just doing an undergrad project, it's like really specialized. It's really focused towards one thing. So mine is just like calculated this detection rate. So I don't know much about the detector itself. Like that's why I was having such a hard time explaining the laser thing. Like I know about it, like I've read about it, but it's not like I've done a course on it. And if in your project you don't really have time to just, do whatever you want, I suppose, like you are doing a project. So I don't know a lot about the auxiliary like things that would give context to what I'm doing. So it's hard to explain that, especially if I just done the summer project. In my project over the semester, like as an actual subject, I feel like I learned a lot more about the context, so it's easier to explain because I had to write a report to submit to Helmut at the end to get a mark, to get my grades. And I learned a lot more about like, why are they making these detectors, and why they want to do stuff, which I think is one of the hardest things to communicate when you're trying to communicate science, because sure, you might be able to communicate what you're doing, but why are you doing it?
Yeah, the impact is like one of those things that kind of just gets missed.
Yeah, exactly, because like you're trying to explain what you're doing, but I honestly think the most important thing is like what your work can do for the future. I did not mention that at all in this entire discussion, but they're making this detector to learn more about neutron stars, because like they're really elusive. We don't know anything. We don't know what their equation of state is and stuff like that. Yeah, but yeah,
they're
I think
another big mystery that we've just got up there in the stars.
Yep, exactly.
What advice have you utilized from your like supervisors?
I think it's really important because it's not really insecurity or anything like that, I guess, but it's like for the first time ever, you are like the expert in something. Like it is up to you to be able to explain it in a way that somebody's going to understand. So you can't just say, oh, like, yeah, this happened, because you're the only one that knows the background. And so I think the best advice was be like, step back, like actually think about what you've done and actually think about what somebody else has done and be like, wow, like these steps are new steps that I need to be able to explain. I think is probably, one of the biggest. It just blew my mind because one day I was like trying to figure out why I was having trouble communicating. And then I figured it out. I was like, because it's new. Like what I've done is actually like not something that they've done before, I guess.
Not gonna lie, you just blew my mind because I've had the exact same problem with like when I was doing my project, communicating, like I did drama in like high school. I'm like fairly comfortable with like speaking, but then I found going into, you know, speaking my project, it was a lot harder to try and communicate and just like trying to speak to my supervisor, and like I was coming with these things and I was like, I'm getting like in my mind I'm like getting these results that I don't understand how to like actually, you know, explain what's going on. And that actually succinctly explains the exact reason why I was that makes a lot,
because you're the only one with the context for the results. And I was like, wow, that's for the because in uni your lecturer knows everything that you're doing and things. Everybody knows because you're doing the same thing, but in research it's different. It's kind of hard. Wow. I know, right? When I figured it out, I was just like, whoa. Like, whoa, this is amazing.
That's thank you. Is all I'm going to say.
No worries.
You've blown my mind.
Yeah, I blew my own mind, and so for the rest of the day, I was like, damn.
I can't believe it's taken me this long to realize that it's taken.
No, it took me ages as well. It was like halfway through like my project as a subject, I was like, wait a moment. Hold up right now. This is the issue.
Nice.
Yeah, and it makes sense because like this, your entire schooling or whatever career, there's been somebody who knows more than you. Yeah. So, and you're like expected to get an answer, and they already know how to get there or whatever. But like research is different. You're like figuring out this method yourself.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Wild stuff.
Wild stuff.
Yeah. This is why research is so cool. Painful, but so cool.
Absolutely painful.
Yeah, so painful sometimes.
Yikes. Wow. Well, you blew my mind, is all I'm going to say.
Good. I'll blow everybody's mind.
So, thank you for coming along, Mallika.
No worries at all.
I've learned a lot. Anything to promote?
Come do a project with a CGA. They're all great people, and it's amazing. Also, please use Zotero and don't be like my roommate who hand did her citations. You're a monster. That's everything, I think, yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
Bro. That was awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
I'm taking this off. I can't stand to hear my own voice for any longer.
Oh my god.